What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Trucker 219. Today we're diving back in for part 3 of the deep dive on night transportation. And if you haven't checked out parts 1 and 2 already, I'll put a link down in the description so you can go and check those out. In this video, we're talking to an experienced driver of 16 years who is currently working for night transportation, and we're going to get his feedback on how the company is and how it operates to see whether or not it's a good idea to go work for the company based off of his experience. And we're going to talk to him right now. Let's go. Okay, well, I was just wanting to find out a little bit about night transportation, at least from your perspective and stuff, and see what you think about the company and if it's worth going over there.
Okay, in order for me to help you in terms of what you're looking for, where your goals are, where you at, that kind of stuff, how long you been in the industry?
I don't know what Mr. Richard told you over there. But I'm actually I've got 8 years as a truck driver, coming up on 9. I am actually doing more of a research thing right now than actually looking for a company to go and work with. I run a small YouTube channel and I do deep dives onto companies to find out what's real and what's not, and if it's worth going to work for that company. And I give an honest opinion based off of my experience and doing the research that I do to find out, what I could find out about them. So that's what this is a part of.
I understand.
So did you get your CDL through night, or did you go through a private institution? I mean, you said you've been driving for 16 years, so it's been a long time.
I know. I guess I got greedy on holding on to that wheel.
Yeah. Either that or the wheel's holding on to you, one way or another, right?
Much less the wheel, maybe the open road.
That's true.
I could have done many things where I'm coming from, many things, but I just chose a more humble approach to serve many. If you think about it, I mean, everybody calls it a truck driver. It should be called Global Supply Chain Operations Specialist. I just can tell you with all my experience, no, I did not get my license attached with the company that is attached with my name. I did get my license through the company that been founded by Chester and Robert England way back when.
Okay, so CR England. Okay, gotcha. Very cool.
Correct. So you know who I'm talking of.
I do indeed. So how long have you been? How long have you been with Night then?
Actually, fairly recently for them, last year November.
So you've been with them for 4 months?
Sounds about right.
Okay.
And from all my experience overall in the industry, I know many things, especially when it comes about mega carriers and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But as for me, personally, I have nothing but the highest respect in any department of it. Now, given it is a mega carrier, given they do things a little bit different as far as freight lanes goes and how they split lanes in terms of miles and this kind of stuff down throughout the entire week, it seems like you're only doing what would be considered regional haul mile or something like that. If you're coming from the industry, not looking at the overall picture. However, there's a system behind that madness, given how many power units on the fleet versus the trailers available versus the different departments. I myself, pull-now driver, and I used to do hazmat, refrigerated, specialized. Keeps me rolling. I'm getting, depending on the area, a little bit lesser miles than what I normally get.
Over the last, let's say, 3-4 weeks or so, about what's your average miles? How many miles have you driven per week?
So the last month, I want to say, look, I know the odometer miles are driven more just because it's zip code to zip code, the pay scale. That does not necessarily always match with your truck routing navigation.
But that's what they're going to pay you is based off of that. I understand.
Exactly.
Okay. And you say are you thinking more like 2,000, 2,500 per week?
Well, my manager, which is the terminal manager, I told him flat out 2,500 miles, not on average, 2,500 on a week. Anything over, I take gladly. If it's a little under, I understand it depends on the area and whatnot. I'm not tripping. But I get no less than close to 2,000 miles on my bad weeks. And outside of that, I'm on the right about the 2,500 mile week, sometimes a little bit more. The payroll cutoff officially would be Mondays, but anything that you finalize on Tuesdays in the same week and call payroll during their business hours, Arizona local time, you can request to have those miles manually processed and be in the same week on that check in your account.
Gotcha.
If you choose not to do that, then you know already that starts your next pay week, basically. Those miles you can then mentally already add and count to about, the following week.
Right.
If you're willing to roll, never turn on any loads does not mean it may only be to get you into an area to have something better to come out of. Everything you turn in that time averages out to whichever your max baseline is where you got hired on. With the incentives that are not easy just handed out, you have to be productive, you have to stay to the suggested fuel stops, if you will. Outside of your fuel bonus, they have like a smart safety score thing that's attached to a forward-facing camera. If you use much as 1 mile per hour above the speed limit, coasting with these auto shift trucks that kick in neutral out of your control,
Right.
If somebody cuts in front of you, that thing buzzes off and you're not quick enough gaining that distance, it throws points onto you and inducts you for following too close and over speed, even if it's 1 mile per hour over.
Okay, so they utilize the camera for more than just the camera's purposes. They're monitoring your driving and driving habits and penalizing you if you're not being a good driver.
You're supposed to keep always that minimum of 1 football field between you and the following vehicle.
Any big city, that's not going to happen.
But it resets once a month, every month, and recalculates, readjusts to a different score, depending on how you did, how often that camera went off.
How difficult is it to achieve that bonus?
It depends on how aggressive of a driver you are.
I mean, fair point. Well, let me ask a different question then. Out of your time there in the last 4 months, you said it resets every month. Out of those 4 months, how many times have you got the safety bonus? With 16 years driving experience, I figure you'd be a pretty damn good driver, right?
Well, I am. The recent month or the last month, I didn't get it, but that was because of Chicago thing. Traffic stopped suddenly in front of me, and I was rolling with the flow, and that is when I went from a score of 5 up to a score of 70, damn near. And then from California on, it kept just going up. So
Gotcha.
I'm like over 80 something.
So at one point, whenever you know you messed up, then it's just whatever after that.
Yeah, from there it's pretty hard to bring it down till it got reset.
Gotcha.
And then you just have to keep at it. It's based on the miles you drive.
Yeah, it sounds like it's based on a lot of stuff. The miles, the fuel, the potential hazards that you come across that may or may not be your fault, but because you're the driver, it becomes your fault.
You don't necessarily have to drive. The longer you're with the company, the more options become available. You can, move from driving force into operations. From driving force, learn the trades of diesel techs or something of that sort. It's not like you onboard as a driver and that's where you're stuck.
Well, let me ask you, so when you started over there with them, did you have to go through any training or anything, or did they just put you in a truck because you got such a high level of experience?
Required orientation stuff. Outside of that,
Right.
Nothing.
Okay, cool.
I had to wait a little longer because, my hair sample got off my legs. I don't carry enough on my upper hair front, so that's the worst spot you ever want to take a hair sample for drug screening. It takes the longest to get the results back.
Right. Now, you said you're on a dedicated route, right?
No, not dedicated. I'm in an over-the-road position, which means this truck is being used to fill in whichever lanes and freights. So sometimes I feel like it's running dedicated regional just because on the areas I'm bouncing back and forth at.
Right.
Other times I get into a different area and then I'm stuck into that area.
Now, you said if you're over the road, you've only been with them for 4 months. So how often are you able to get home? Are you trying to get home more than what they? What I'm asking is, how difficult is it to get home time?
It's not difficult, difficult at all. Excuse me.
So if you call them up and say, "Hey, I need to go home as soon as possible," they're getting you home within a couple of days, 2, 3, 4 days.
Well, it depends on where you at, too. I mean, for me being here out on the West Coast, and I knew when I needed to get home, I gave him 2 weeks advance notice, which he's aggressively now working on getting me home. I see that in the pre-plans because my second load after this next load already has me pretty much back in my own turf.
And will this be the first time you've tried to go home since you've started?
No, I go home once a month.
Okay.
I always go home without a fail. Sometimes even a day earlier than I wanted to and stay a day longer than I asked for.
Okay, so they're really good about home time. That's good.
They're really good about this work-life balance thing, and they prefer you to, if you don't feel safe driving for any reason, shut down, communicate, a load can get rescheduled. Bad things just cost money.
Right.
So safety, they are the number one. They overdo the safety thing out of any other carrier I ever worked with.
And now, as far as like your logs and stuff, what kind of equipment are they using? Are they using Qualcomm or?
Well, no, they used, it's called GeoTab, which I've been using now on an electronic log.
GeoTab, TAB?
GeoTab.
Okay,
correct.
Gotcha.
So it's that new software they're using now. The interface, you have to do a few more steps than the other system as far as login and first login concern, stuff like that. But in overall, it seems to work a little better. It has here and there still some boo-boos, which I noticed where, tells me I'm connected everywhere, but it cannot find a truck. So the engine hour in relation to distance driven will show off if I get an inspection on it.
Right.
So, but then it recorrects itself. But the same problem was with the other system. So I guess as far as E-Log, me personally, in all my career, whenever they came out, Qualcomm was the one that never actually really messed up.
Yeah.
I'm at 56 cents a mile. That's the cap out. 501 miles and over is 56 cents a mile. Anything lower, the cents per mile rate goes up.
Okay, so that 56 cents is your over-the-road long distance miles. Anything else correct. Is more. It seems like they're relatively honest about what they're offering and what they're paying and all that. It doesn't seem to be.
I haven't found any gimmicks out. I mean, equipment is what it is. That's kind of like a hit and miss. It is really true. Knight bought and owned Swift.
It is true.
It is true. It is not the other way around.
Oh, so Knight owns Swift, not Swift owns Knight.
Correct. For those that come on with no experience to a carrier like this, a lot of YouTubers, other influencers may try to tell them that this gets you CDL and you're going to be a millionaire in no time. That's not how that works.
No. And I definitely don't tell my audience that there is money to be made in it, but you absolutely have to serve some time in the industry and get your gills wet and whatnot.
I take it you retired then as a driver.
No, I'm a lot more local driver now. Now I do this YouTube thing quite a bit, as well as still drive. I do dump trucks and roll off trucks right now. So I've been around quite a bit.
I had a little bit flatbed myself in my career.
It was fun. I love that. Well, Sir Dominic, I think that's about it. I think that's all the questions that I have for you. I mean, from talking to you, it seems like at least at minimum, whether it's a good thing or bad thing, for better or for worse, that they are honest about how much you're actually going to make.
If you're not willing to put in the work and just expect handouts, then no carrier will be good for you or no industry.
That's true. You're a very knowledgeable man. I could tell it just by talking to you that you know your stuff. So it was definitely very good talking to you, and make sure you stay safe out there and keep making that money, yeah? All right, my friend. Take care. Thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah, all right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was a great conversation with Sir Dominic, a fellow driver with 16 years of experience, and he's still choosing to go and work for a company like Knight Transportation, a mega carrier, and he does say that they're treating him quite well. They're getting him home on time, they're paying him like he's supposed to, and getting him enough miles. So one of the big negatives that I heard in my conversation with Sir Dominic is that they're using the forward-facing cameras not for the purpose of protecting the truck and the company in case of an accident. It seems like their main focus is to promote driver safety, but in order to do that, they're going about it in a bad way. And by a bad way, meaning that they're promoting safety bonuses, but they're pulling it away from drivers just because stuff that happens out on the road is happening, such as drivers jumping out in front of you to where you're going to have to slam on your brakes, hard braking, or the following distance in big cities like Chicago and Atlanta. Those are all things that are counted against you when it comes time for your safety bonus. It doesn't sound like they're doing a great job of reviewing the camera footage to find out whether it's just normal things that happen or if it's bad driving behaviors. And what's happening is when drivers know that there was a mistake where a driver jumped out in front of them and they lost their following distance score, they give up on the idea of having a safety bonus for the month, and then they let it go. So with parts 1, 2, and 3 in the books, we got a lot to think about to decide whether it's a good idea to go work for Knight Transportation or not. Be on the lookout for the full breakdown and the full deep dive of Knight Transportation to find out whether I would go and work for them based off of all of the research that we've done in parts 1, 2, and 3.